Hello, friends, and welcome back to the new episode of r/IDontWorkHereLady. And let's start with a little warm-up story. Shouldn't you be in school? I'm 26. I work at a restaurant. My shift is from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. One morning, I was cleaning tables and taking out the rubbish when this rude middle-aged woman came up to me. Excuse me, you're far too young to be working here. Why aren't you in school? In fairness, I do look younger than my age. I'm blessed with a baby face. Before I could explain that I was in fact 26 years old and left high school the better half of a decade ago, she wouldn't let me get a word in. She just kept on going and going, saying, "You're throwing your life away by being a high school dropout, and you'll end up stupid living on the street." My manager noticed and came over. He said, "Excuse me, but what's going on?" The lady replied, "Why are you hiring kids who are 13 or 14 years old? I'll call the cops, because what you're doing is against the law." My manager was like, "Ma'am, she's in her mid-20s and has been working here for 5 years. If you're just in here to harass my employees, then I suggest you leave or I'll call the cops." I thought that would be the end of it, but nope. You know what Karens are like. They never admit they're wrong and can't just let things go. This woman's response was, "It's obvious you say that because you want to cover your own butt." That's when I lost my cool and got up, went to the staff room where we all hang out in the back, got my driver's license and my ID that had my date of birth. I went back out into the dining area and put my driver's license right up in her face and said, "Don't you dare assume how old I am. You're right, people should go to high school and everyone needs an education. But I already graduated high school 8 years ago." She was shocked and just left. My manager thought it was funny, so I didn't get in trouble. And our second story. Lobster Pate. So, I'm helping a friend make a nice big pot of seafood chowder using my mom's excellent recipe. I'd come straight from work, so I'm wearing casual business clothing, button-up plaid shirt with collar, tan pants, rather than my usual off-work t-shirt and jeans. We realize that we're missing a crucial ingredient, lobster pate. I groan because this can be hard to find, and I agree to go out and find it. The grocery store near where she lived did not have it, and didn't seem to know what it was. So I drove to the one near where I lived, where I knew they usually stocked it. I lucked out and was able to get their last 2 cans. We only needed one, but I wanted the other for a future meal. Since I was already at the store, I grabbed a cart to get a few other things. After half filling my cart, why does a few things always turn into a full cart? I turned my back on my cart to get some cereal. As I turn back to my cart, I see a short-haired woman, soccer mom type, grabbing both cans of the pate out of the rest of my stuff. "What are you doing? Give that back," I say. "I need it." "Well, so do I." I grabbed the 2 cans out of her cart and held on to them. She started to get really mad. I was about to offer her one of the cans since I didn't really need 2 when she went off. This is pretty close to what she admitted as one long sentence. "Who in the F do you think you are? You can't do that, you F. You violated and invaded my personal space. That's assault. I can't wait for the time it takes your crappy, lazy butt to get over to the right aisle and restock that, as I'm in a hurry and you have none on the shelf. Give that back and get the F out of my way. Henry, help me." The whole thing struck me by surprise, but the last bit confused me until a smallish man came round the corner, who I assumed was Henry. "This effing idiot attacked me and took our stuff. Keep him here while I find someone to get him fired." I should mention that I'm 6'4" and fairly bulky compared to 5'6" Henry. Henry looked at me with a bit of uneasiness and resignation. I finally get a chance to cut into this conversation with a blurt of, "I don't work here, guys. I'm just shopping like you." She doesn't care. She says, "Bullcrap, I've seen you here before," and stomps off. Well, I mean, she might have seen me. This is my usual store, but I usually dress differently. I look at Henry, laugh, and tell him to try and have a nice life, and I left with my pate for the checkouts. As my order's being scanned, though, I see the couple with someone who I assume is a store employee, maybe not, as she's pointing at me from well across the store. I assume she's harassing him as she's animated and red-faced. I don't know what she said to him, but Henry grabbed her arm and started tugging her out of the store. I paid for my stuff and went back to my friend. Some folk are really weird. Angry woman gets herself banned from store again. This is sort of an update post, but in my humble opinion, the time lag required a fresh post. My usual Saturday morning thing was canceled, so I decided to do my grocery shopping with my unexpectedly free block of time. I'm in the cereal aisle looking to see if any of the cereal we like is on sale when a little old lady asked me politely if I could get her a big box of cornflakes from the top shelf. I'm much taller than her. She tells me that they always put the fresher boxes on the high shelf, and it takes me so long to finish a box. She compares the expiration date to the one she had in her hand and keeps the one I gave her, thanking me for my help. Seconds later, I feel a sharp poke in my back and turn around. It's an angry woman, and I quickly realize that I've seen her somewhere before. Same woman as another post of mine. I'd not seen her at all in the years since that incident, so I assume that she must now usually shop during this time, and I do not. I knew that you worked here, you crap. Thanks to you, I was banned from this effing store. You wait here while I get your effing manager. I did wait. Not because she ordered me to, because I was choosing cereal still. Shortly after, she appears with the manager type in tow. She says, "Your effing worker here was rude to me, just like last time. You effing banned me from the store over that, and I want compensation now." The manager looks at me, looks at her, then uses his phone to take a picture of her. Then he says, "First thing, this guy's not an employee. Second thing, if you were banned from this store, you shouldn't be here. Leave immediately and don't return. If you ever come back, you'll be charged with trespassing. I've taken a picture of you to help enforce this ban." Her mouth drops open. He escorts angry her all the way outside and returns after a bit to see if I'm okay. He likely wants to prevent a negative review from me or something. I let him know I have no issues, and he tells me that she was previously banned for a number of complaints, not just for the events of my Lobster Pate encounter. Petty me notices that her partner, Henry, was not with her. I wonder if they're still together. Youre Stealing! No, I'm not. Little backstory. I was once a male volleyball player for a small high school in Florida a couple years ago, and recently had a situation that reminded me of this story. Now, while I was in high school, I worked a part-time job at a small sports store. It wasn't part of a chain, more of a local shop that you could go and hang out at and buy equipment. Me and my friends first came across this place after we joined the volleyball team freshman year. Now, many people may not know about men volleyball because it's not something you see very often, but where I live in Florida, it's a big deal. And this is the reason I got manager, because not only was I a hard and trusty worker, as the owner put it, but also a volleyball player, like he was when he was in high school. I'd worked at this store up to my senior year, so a lot of people knew me and trusted me to get the equipment they needed. I was manager, so I marked what people requested and asked the owner to make an order. Sorry if I have bad dialogue in the story, but this is all true, so don't be a jerk in the comments. Also note that I have social anxiety behavior, which will come into play later. One day, a man and his son, who I would say was maybe 13, walk in and ask where the football gear is. At first, I looked at the dad with a "Are you sure?" expression, because his son looked really small and scrawny. Not what you would expect a football-playing kid to look like, but me being the guy I am, assumed the kid was just starting out, so I stood up and pointed to the second aisle in the shop. When I did, this kid looked scared out of his mind. Now, I'm a big guy with the height of 6 feet, and I practiced a lot, so I have a bit of muscle. However, I have social anxiety outside my circle of friends and the usual customers that come to the shop, so I got nervous and sat down. This relieved the kid and made me feel better. After a couple of minutes of sitting on my phone, I decided to go to the back real quick to take stock and fill up some of the shelves with the latest shipment of products. Note, our storage is in plain view of the counter as to assure us no one goes back there without our knowledge. While I was doing this, I hear shouting coming from the front of the store. Someone was going off about there's some kid stealing equipment and where are the employees? When I come out to see what the problem is, I see the dad giving me a death glare. He then walked up to me, got in my face to chew me out and say what I was doing back there and that you should be in the front like all the other customers. But when I tried to get my word in the conversation, he would just keep interrupting me, saying that he would tell the manager what I was doing, that I was trying to steal equipment for my own selfish self. This is where my social anxiety kicks in and I start tearing up a bit. Now, a lot of people would say, you're the manager, just kick him out. But when a random guy's shouting at you and you have social anxiety, it's kind of hard. Finally, the owner comes out of his office to see what the problem is, and the dad says, this kid is stealing equipment from you, and your employees are nowhere to be seen. I look at the owner with tears in my eyes, and the owner looks at the dad and says, "Sir, this young man does in fact work here." "Well, he has no uniform on." "Sir, we don't wear uniforms." "Well, that's ridiculous. All stores have uniforms." "No, it's not, sir. And no, they don't. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." "Why? I've done nothing wrong." "You've just shouted at my employee and caused a huge scene. Now leave." The dad then grabbed his son and stomped out in anger, and that was the last I saw of him. Now that I look back, I should have kicked him out back then, as I was scared and a different person than I am now. Wow, I feel bad for the son. I want to thank you all for watching the video to the end. I'll see you in the next one.